Hello again. In Genesis chapter 37, Joseph has dreamed his dreams, and now he's in trouble. So we're going to read from 12 to the end of the chapter. Now his brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers pasturing the flock at Shechem? Come, I will see you to them." And he said to him, "Here I am." So he said to him, "Go now, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring me word." So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a man found him wandering in the fields, and the man asked him, "What are you seeking?" "I'm seeking my brothers," he said. "Tell me, please, where they're pasturing the flock." And the man said, "They've gone away, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan.
Now when they saw him afar off, even before he came near them, they conspired against him to kill him. And they said to one another, "Look, this dreamer is coming. Come therefore, let us now kill him and cast him down into some pit, and we shall say, 'Some wild beast has devoured him.' We shall see what will become of his dreams." But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, "Let us not kill him." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit, which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might deliver him out of their hands, and bring him back to his father." So it came to pass, when Joseph had come to his brothers, and they stripped him of his tunic, the tunic of many colors that was on him, then they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it.
Then they sat down to eat, and looking up they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels bearing gum, balm, and myrrh on their way to carry it down to Egypt. Then Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him. Then Midianite traders passed by, and they drew Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit, and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. They took Joseph to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the pit and saw that Joseph was not in it, he tore his clothes and returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone, and where shall I go?"
So they took Joseph's tunic, killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the tunic into the blood. Then they sent the tunic of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, "We have found this. Do you know whether it is your son's tunic or not?" And he recognized it and said, "It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Without doubt, Joseph is torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes, put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I shall go down into the grave to my son in mourning." Thus his father wept for him. Now the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, the officer of Pharaoh and the captain of the guard.
I guess the first thing that you notice here is that we see Reuben and Judah in a better light than much of the time. Especially Reuben, who has betrayed his father with his maidservant Bilhah, who is also called Jacob's wife later.
Yeah.
So Reuben comes across a lot better. He looks like he's acting like the older brother should act here.
Yeah.
When he says, "Where will I go now that Joseph has got no more?"
Yeah. I think if you contrast this to the latter part of the story where they end up meeting up with Joseph and not knowing who he is, that when that whole story plays out, you see a change in both their characters for the good. So Judah doesn't come off very well here, but later he actually says, I'll take the blame. You can have my life if I don't bring Benjamin back."
Although as far as the other brothers are concerned, he comes across better. They want to kill him. Judah says,
"No, let's
"No,
make
let's make a profit
out
off him."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's changed later.
yeah, I do see a lot of callousness in their behavior here. You know, they throw him in a pit, Joseph, and then they sit down and have a meal.
Yeah.
So that, you know, that's like one of the gangster movies where they kill someone and then they eat. You know, like it just seems very, very cold-hearted. And then when they present the father with the tunic covered in blood, they don't say, is this our brother's tunic? They say, is this your son's tunic? It's like they're distancing themselves to having any relation to Joseph. That's pretty cold-blooded too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the end, I think your Bible says, how does Joseph put it, rather Jacob put it, when he says that he wants to go visit his son? How does that verse read?
For I shall go down into the grave to my son in mourning.
The grave, okay, so yes, Sheol can mean grave in the Old Testament, so the Watchtower is telling a half-truth, but it can also mean, well, it usually does mean, the place where the shadows are. What do they mean by the shadows, or shades? They mean their spirit, which is personal in the eyes of most Jews of Jesus' day. Their shade, or their personal spirit, would depart the body at death and would go to this place called Sheol, where there was a shadow existence. It wasn't really living, but it certainly wasn't non-existence.
Yeah. So I don't think as witnesses we really looked into what they would have thought, what the people of the day would have thought. And the Bible dictionaries show you that they didn't think of the body as just breathing flesh. They thought it was more than that. And
well, they thought human life was more than that.
Yeah,
the
so
body
it's a
was.
body and spirit.
Yeah.
You know, they made a connection there that you were more than just flesh.
Yeah. So the living soul part that you've got as a witness, this living soul idea, is God breathing into you, not just breath, God. So that was taken seriously. The God component of you, the part where you're like Him, made in His image, is not your body, but your spirit, because God is spirit. So we have a God-like side that is personal and does survive, and we have our human side. Here's a couple of quotes, one of which is on this issue of what does Sheol mean. But Kidner first on Reuben. Reuben had every cause, in addition to his natural temperament, to hesitate over the plot. Blood, especially a brother's, was sacrosanct, and he, as eldest of the family, would be chiefly answerable for it. Also, he was already out of his father's favor. According to chapter 35, he's made this mess up already. What he did with Joseph could either ruin him or reinstate him. And then Franz Delitzsch says about Sheol, the place to which all terrestrial beings are summoned. Thither is Joseph gone. Thither, where human existence continues in a shadow manner. Will Jacob follow him? That's not a question. I should have read that the other way. There, where human existence continues in a shadow manner, will Jacob follow him. Till then, there is no more comfort or joy for him. Now, Franz Delitzsch is one of the greatest Hebrew scholars of all time. So when he says this is what Sheol meant, I believe him. And we have a couple of links, one of which is the Hades or Hell and Afterlife playlist. We have a playlist on hell and the afterlife and gets into the meanings of the original words, including Hades and Gehenna. So we'll put the Hades video on your screen along with that playlist.
Okay.
See you soon.